Good Friday morning. Third time's a charm here. All right, BAMWX.com meteorologist Michael Clark here with your latest long-range outlook, a frosty outlook, a cold, wintry outlook, if you will, if we're looking out into the next week. Something you need to be certainly considering and taking very seriously. First things first, our winter weather outlook is October 9th. A little fun fact here, our mean sunspot number for the month of September was the lowest it's been since 1901. Coming into a deep solar minimum, this will play a significant role into the winter outlook, and this is how you can get more information on that. To go to the client webinar, it is bamwx.com/client-webinar. All right, you can go and register for that, and that's how you can sign up. You just go down here, put in your information, and you get all of that great information we're going to be sharing with you on October 9th. So make sure you check that out. This is a special look here if you're looking for winter. All right. I don't know if anybody is, but if you are, it's looking special. All right, here's a look here at temperatures this morning. And this is temperatures as of about 6:45 Eastern or 5:45 Central. And there's a lot of places in here that are going to be dealing with their first frost. I tweeted out an image here earlier, but it's cold, all right? And this is, I tell you what, this is the start of a stretch of some multiple frost and freeze risks here into the forecast going forward over the next couple of days. We're going to talk about that right now. This is the latest European model that actually continues to trend colder into next week. All right, let's get out and look at this. You're going to have multiple mornings that are going to be into the 40s here between now and then, and even some outlying 30s. But next week, a very big storm system starts to organize here, and you can see it coming together Thursday evening and into Friday of next week as you have this very stout gradient in temperatures. I mean, you're 64 in Des Moines, but you're 37 in eastern Nebraska. This could be a very stout storm system, if you will. As it moves through and departs, temperatures next week, you could be dealing with low 20s and maybe some snow. A couple of the models here are trying to suggest somewhere between the Dakotas, Nebraska, western Iowa, Minnesota, there could be an accumulating snow event next week. And that's about as far as I'm going to go into detail on that. But there is suggestions of that being possible on the backside of this front. Now, the interesting thing here is look at temperatures by next Saturday morning off the European model, and then look at them out by next Sunday morning. Widespread frost freeze risk there certainly on the table. And if we look at just the latest GFS model, the run here just in overnight. Next Saturday, widespread, 30 to 35 degrees from Ohio, the entire ag belt. Okay, and again, that's early in the eastern corn belt. Okay, the average frost date here is October 15th, so that's early. Now, to add to that, that's the average frost date on a normal planting date, a normal season, where you're not planting a month to 45 days late. So this is certainly problematic and very concerning, and I'm going to continue to beat a dead horse on it because I am worried about it. I don't think it's getting enough attention yet. A look here at rainfall the next 10 days, the overnight GFS. Again, you can see pretty active here across the northern plains. A lot of that, again, is going to come with that storm system later next week. And later next week into next weekend, it gets pretty active again. A lot of this is in the 5 to 10 day period. You can see that perhaps a heavy rainmaker if you're asking the GFS model. Now the European, the next 5 days, not as heavy, but still nonetheless, it's not dry, especially for the central plains, Iowa, Minnesota, down through Missouri. And then getting into the weekend, you can see would be a very much needed rain for Tennessee, Kentucky, Ohio, into the mid-Atlantic and the interior Northeast. A very much needed rain. Wouldn't be shocked if it can trend north a little bit, maybe closer to I-70. Regardless, maybe looking at some rain here into the weekend. All right. So temperatures, precipitation, the departure from normal getting into week 2. Again, overnight data did trend wetter, and it has trended towards the idea I've kind of been talking about this week, that I do believe that the forecast models have been too dry into this period based on our tropical forcing, our MJO, what we call our Madden-Julian oscillation. Now, we're just stalled out in this wet phase 1. And I think the computers will eventually be able to pick back up on that. Whenever you bring a big 1035 surface high in here in a cold front, the models may overdo the the dryness in its forecast. I think they're starting to trend back towards another wet period. And so it's not a good outlook, unfortunately, but that it is what it is. Now we look here at week 2 temperatures, and this is obviously the big front coming in. Temperatures in the heart of the central U.S. here running 8 to 12 degrees below normal. And again, depending on if we can actually maybe even get some snow. I know, as crazy as this sounds, next week, some of the snow that lays down could possibly modify temperatures even colder. Regardless, a much colder outlook because of the recurving typhoon in the Western Pacific. The one we had just a few days ago, the recurving typhoon a few days ago we talked about that didn't do much. Now you have one that's done it and it's doing this. So, sometimes, most of the time they bring cold. Sometimes they don't. There's no crystal ball to know which one's going to deliver the cold and which one isn't, but this one clearly is. All right. Our updated weeks 3 and 4 looks like this. This is more of a combination of atmospheric correlations, some analogs, not a lot of model support here. We're assuming a little bit of a PNA or a western ridge can develop, but we're still seeing the southern and southeastern warmth from the negative angular momentum correlation and some of our other correlations as well. So a lot of suggestions keeping the east and southeast warm and above normal, with a trough in between, which is going to mean one thing: it can stay active in here. So the late October outlook, it's actually right at the 30-year normal for the GWHDDs. So, it's cold. It's a colder outlook. No doubt about that. We look at the precipitation, and that's where I think you're going to be above normal, is in this area here in between, where you're dry to the south and east and dry to the west. But that's your 3 and 4 week precip. Again, there's not a ton of model support with this. This is more of a support call here in-house, but amongst us and our research. So just something to consider in weeks 3 and 4. Now, we did get our updated QBO reading for the month of September, and we did drop a little bit more. So we are running closely in line right now with these years here. We are running very close in line with 77, 78, 94, 95, 98, 99. So the years we actually want to look at are 78, 95, 99. You see these second years here, so 2-year running mean. You can see this is the years that we're looking at the closest for our QBO progression. And that looks like, well, just a second, just kidding. I'll show you what it looks like in an analog. But what kind of drives this analog home that I'm about to show you, that's these for November. You see how cold November is in this analog here. It is supported because we continue to see the angular momentum probably hang out below 0 in the negative territory, and that correlation for November also supports this look, this very strong trough look here, especially off to the north. So those are those years I just described to you when looking at the analogs. We look at our MQI and our low solar. When we combine those, or our QBO and our low solar, I know I'm throwing out a lot of acronyms here, but essentially these are the years that make the most sense when combining those two. I talked about the solar minimum there at the start of the video. It supports the cold idea, all right? And then we look at the precipitation, and it does turn things again pretty wet here. And I don't think this is too far off, or at least being possible, because of how the pattern can evolve into November. And this ridge feature may weaken a little bit. The trough can come further down in here, and you may get more chances at precipitation. So at least there is the potential that we were going to knock out some of these drought conditions. I don't think this is a drought developing that can last into next year. I don't see that happening right now. So here's the official winter outlook. All right, this is I'm going to share this early with you. We finished this yesterday. We are forecasting 2,625 GWHDDs. It is above the 10 and the 30-year normal. All right. Our analogs are even colder at a 2715. Last year we were a 2573. The risk is this, and at this outlook I'm showing you right now, the risk really is the Tennessee Valley into the south and east. It's possible that it can be a little bit colder in here, but we're keeping these southern coastal regions, basically southern third of the U.S. warmer, for a lot of reasons that, just previous trends, a little bit of climate change maybe, the angular momentum. just things that kind of stand out to us. We don't want to go absolute crazy and go 27-15 yet. Is what we're saying. So, and not to mention seasonal model support, there really isn't any. So here's the snowfall, first to last flake snowfall outlook. The risk here, the unknown, is the northern plains. It's right here. I mean, it's literally this area, because if we're already going to start getting snow in here in October, we're going to have to look into that as we get into winter. But I think this is a pattern shift. There's just a fluke. Regardless, the deep solar minimums favor longer, harsher winters and shorter growing seasons, and we're seeing all of that right now. That's very, very evident that that's happening, and I think that we need to be ready for, what can be a pretty harsh winter on hand with snow and cold across the plains, Great Lakes, into the north and east. You guys have a fantastic weekend. Let us know. We'll talk to you soon.